Some months ago, I published a review of Pierre White's BBC Maestro cookery course.
When you eat, it's not just food. It's about the emotional impact it has on you.
A multi-part journey through his kitchen, trying to distill his wisdom into a number of bite-sized cookery lessons. We went through potatoes, we went through bolognese, we went through all sorts of different recipes that really meant something to him. And whilst very entertaining, I concluded that actually, while it was interesting, it was a very hard teach. As a cookery course, it doesn't quite work for me. If you want Marco, you got pure Marco out of it. Marco 100%. If you were in it for Marco, that's what you got.
Every restaurant in this world has its secrets. And this secret I was taught 20 years ago.
However, if it's about trying to learn something, you'll learn how to do those recipes, but even then it's missing a lot of key facts like temperatures, like times, and what you're looking for. Is it going to be golden? Is it bubbling? All this sort of detail that you get in a lot of recipes and you take for granted, but you notice when recipes don't have them. And I concluded, very nice, but no thanks. And then I noticed in the months since I finished that course, since I put that video up here, that I'd actually absorbed some of his ideas, some of his little gems that he talked about. And I was quite surprised. I actually stopped myself and noticed, hang on, you're only doing this because Marco banged on about it.
The truth is, I wouldn't be the man I am today, nor the cook, had it not been for certain people. People who inspired me, people who shared their knowledge with me, their stories with me.
So, whilst this isn't a retraction of sorts, I just want to summarise some of the really cool things that I actually absorbed, and none of them are particularly earth-shattering. None of them are nobody has ever thought of before, but just having him repeat them, and probably me having to edit them in the video over and over again, meant that they just kind of got lodged in my brain. So here's a few of the top tips from Pierre White that I want to pass on to you, that I'm still doing today. Number one, season from a height.
You see me season like so.
Again, this is something I've heard many times and many chefs and cooks say it.
Now you take a pinch of sea salt and from a height, just season that.
Season it heavily, because you lose 35% of the seasoning the minute it goes in the pan.
But when you're seasoning something, don't go right down on top of it. Work from a height. You know, get your Salt Bay on, not quite, and season from a height so that the seasoning scatters over. Now, you're probably going to make a little bit of mess on your work surface, but it's worth it to make sure that seasoning disperses over all of your meat and veg. Something I thought I was doing, but now I consciously do it as a result of watching that Marco video. Number two, using cartouches.
To finish, a cartouche.
Again, something I'd seen chefs and cooks do for years, but I'd not really contemplated. I usually just pop a lid on my pan and be done with it. But actually, a cartouche, that is, a piece of baking paper usually, roughly cut to size, sitting over the top of your ingredients in a pan, say you're simmering carrots or something. It allows a tiny amount of evaporation, but not much. And therefore, it doesn't turn into steam and then condense back down the way a lid does, because there's no gap between the lid and the ingredient. And therefore, everything's staying quite intense. And I'm finding I'm developing richer flavours because of it. And the sort of tip 2B off of that is to use butter papers.
Never waste butter papers, they're so useful.
When I've finished a pack of butter, whether it's for cakes or what have you, I've noticed I've been storing them away in this cupboard over here. And when I need a cartouche, I grab one of those and lay them over the top of my simmering recipe. Therefore, not only are we blocking most of the moisture escaping, but we're sort of dripping some of that buttery goodness back into the ingredients. So it's 2 for 1. It's butter, it's going to taste better. Tip number 3, keeping the pan moving. This was something I sort of took the mickey out of a little bit because it wasn't terribly well explained in the video, which is to treat the stove like a piano.
Treat a stove like a piano.
Treat the stove like a piano.
Play the stove like a piano.
The bullseye, etc. Making sure that your pan moves around the heat on your hob or stove.
As I've said before, play the stove like a piano, because this part of the stove is hotter than that.
On my stove here, I've got a very powerful burner on one side, and you can notice the difference when you're simmering something like a ragu or another sauce that's got definite pockets of heat in it. You can see parts of it bubbling and other parts of it not. This makes all the difference. I thoroughly recommend keeping an eye on your pan and just moving it around. If you've got something cooking for a long time, you know, 20, 30 minutes or more, keep it moving around so that different parts of the food are cooking. It really is a thing. And I just kind of noticed it, but hadn't done it. And it makes such a big difference. So there we go, my top 3 tips from Pierre White's BBC Maestro course that I didn't think I was doing, but actually I am. What are the top tips that you've learned and distilled from chefs? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you next time.